Friday, everybody. Welcome to Morning Manna, your daily dose of dough. We are in chapter 5 of 1 Thessalonians. Hope you're getting something from this. Again, before we start this video, I just want to remind you to like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you can be made aware every time we put out a new video. But let's get right into our text. We're in 1 Thessalonians 5, starting in chapter 12. We're going to wrap up in 15 today. Now, this is the final instruction, so we're coming to the closing part of the body of the letter here, and he says this: "Now we ask you, brothers and sisters, to acknowledge those who work hard among you, who care for you in the Lord, and who admonish you. Hold them in the highest regard and love because of their work. Live in peace with each other, and we urge you, brothers and sisters, warn those who are idle and disruptive. Encourage the disheartened, help the weak, be patient with everyone. Make sure that nobody pays back wrong for wrong, but always strive to do what is good for each other and for everyone else." Now, if you've been in my ministry, and you have, you should know this text like the back of your hand because we spend 12 weeks going over this text. It is one of my favorite texts in all of Scripture. And so I've broken it down. I have an expository teaching. If you're interested in that, go scroll through the archives of our YouTube channel, CITG Media Network, and you can find all of these sermons, and you can get into that as well. So what is Paul saying here? Here's what he's saying. He's saying respect each other, but in particular your leaders. Your local leaders, I'm going to read this. This is from the commentary in Asbury. "The local leaders may have been under pressure from those with these flawed views of the second coming." We believe that. We firmly believe that because there was such a push on Paul's part to say, stop focusing on that, right? So Timothy probably brought this report back that said, man, a lot of the people in the congregation are just pounding all the leaders, the pastors, the deacons, the elders, all these people with questions about the second coming, and they're not having time to do actual ministry because of this. And so Paul is trying to squelch that, and he's saying, listen, your leaders have been placed in positions by God, not by man. And Scripture alludes to that. He's saying you need to be respectful of those people. If they give you, something that doesn't align with what you've been taught, well, then that's not good. But generally speaking, you want to pay attention to what these guys are having to say. Now, Paul kind of singles out three groups of people here. He talks about the idle, the timid, and the weak. And he basically surmises that we need to be patient with everybody. I mean, that's kind of what he's getting at here. And so, like I said, these leaders were under pressure. He's reminding us that the leaders have the authority of God and that we are to be patient, stop worrying about getting even and things like that. He says, that's not who we are. It's not our identity as Christians. That's not the way we do things. And so we're starting to see that Paul is addressing some of the problem areas that Timothy brought back in his report. Remember, the first part of this letter was all about encouraging and how great things were, and he tells them that. And then he addresses some of the hard things, the sexual immorality, which we learned about last week, and now this obsession, it seems like, with the second coming. And Paul is like saying, hey, look, your leaders have been placed in position for a reason and by God. So trust that and move forward in that. There is an accountability that is in place if something goes wrong with leadership. But even if there wasn't, God still sits on the throne and God is the judge. Now, here's your devotion. You might have someone in authority over you that you don't necessarily care for. You might not like the way they do things either. You can still trust that God allows for that to happen. Maybe you struggle with the governor or the president or Congress. God still allows for those things. And as a Christian, we really shouldn't focus so much attention on that. Is it important? Yeah, it's important, and we should play a role, and we should have a voice, and we should vote according to our conscience. Absolutely, we should be that, but not to the point of obsession. And I think that we see evidence of that in our culture today. Such a great divide. Stop worrying about who's in charge and trust that God has allowed it. And that's the same for the church. Being in church leadership can be a daunting thing sometimes. You feel the weight and the pressure of a lot of things. Trust the process. I have to trust the process. I'm accountable to people, and the people I'm accountable to are accountable to people. And at the end of the day, we are all accountable to God. That is your devotion for the day. And I want to encourage you, guys, go out and do something amazing for somebody else today. Go bless somebody else today. Doesn't matter who. Don't expect anything in return. Watch what happens in your life. We'll see you next week. No, we'll see you Sunday.